The silk scarf around my neck felt like a noose. I'd bought it yesterday at Goodwill for $3, hoping it might make me look less like what I was, a retired postal worker who'd spent 40 years sorting mail in Chicago's South Side. My son Marcus had married into Boston's elite 6 months ago, and his new wife Charlotte had finally invited me to her family's annual spring gala at their country club. "It's very exclusive, Mom," Marcus had said on the phone last week, his voice careful. "Charlotte's father is on the board. They're raising money for the Arts Foundation." What he didn't say, but I heard anyway, "Please don't embarrass me." I'd raised Marcus alone after his father left when he was 3. I worked split shifts, sometimes 16 hours a day, so he could go to good schools. Northwestern University, law school, everything I'd dreamed for him. And now he was married to Charlotte Whitmore, whose family name was on hospital wings and museum galleries. The bus from Logan Airport to Newton took 90 minutes. I'd flown Spirit, the cheapest option, and my knees ached from the cramped seat. My dress was navy blue, simple, from Macy's clearance rack 2 years ago. I'd had it dry cleaned. It was the best I had. I checked my reflection in the bus window. My gray hair was neat, pulled back in a low bun. No jewelry except Frank's wedding ring, which I'd never taken off, even though he'd been gone 23 years. The scarf was a nice touch, I thought, almost elegant. The country club's circular driveway was full of Mercedes and BMWs. A valet stood at the entrance, looking bored. I smoothed my dress and walked up the stone steps, clutching the small purse that held my phone, lipstick, and exactly $37 in cash. Inside, crystal chandeliers threw rainbow prisms across marble floors. Women in cocktail dresses that probably cost more than my monthly rent stood in clusters, holding champagne flutes. Men in tailored suits talked about stock portfolios and vacation homes in Martha's Vineyard. I saw Marcus across the room. He looked so handsome in his tuxedo, so grown up. Charlotte stood beside him in a red dress that probably cost thousands, her blonde hair perfect, her smile bright and cold as winter sunshine. "Mom!" Marcus hugged me, but I felt the tension in his shoulders. "You made it." "Charlotte, you remember my mother, Helen." "Of course." Charlotte's smile didn't reach her eyes. She air-kissed near my cheek, careful not to actually touch me. "I'm so glad you could come. Marcus speaks of you often." Lies. He'd called me twice since the wedding. "Thank you for inviting me," I said, "because that's what polite people do." Charlotte's mother, Vivian Whitmore, appeared beside us. She looked me up and down like I was a stain on her Persian rug. "How lovely," she said, in a tone that meant the opposite. "Marcus, darling, I need you to meet Judge Richardson. He's very interested in your work." She steered Marcus away. Charlotte followed, leaving me standing alone near the champagne fountain. I didn't take a glass. Champagne gave me heartburn. An older woman approached me, her hair silver and elegant. She wore a simple black dress with a single strand of pearls. "You look lost," she said, not unkindly. "I'm Marcus Reed's mother," I said. I don't really know anyone here." "Catherine Morrison." She shook my hand firmly. "My grandson is on the foundation board. These events are tedious, aren't they? All the same people saying the same things." I liked her immediately. We talked for 20 minutes about books, about Chicago, about how strange it felt when your children's lives became so different from your own. She didn't ask what I did for a living. She didn't look at my Goodwill scarf with judgment. Then Charlotte's father made an announcement, and dinner was served. I was seated at table 12, the farthest from the main stage. The couple beside me, the Ashtons, made brief small talk before turning to each other and ignoring me completely. Across the table, a woman named Lydia asked what my husband did. "I'm widowed," I said. "Oh," she looked uncomfortable. "I'm sorry. Recently? 23 years ago." The discomfort deepened. She changed the subject quickly. I ate my salmon quietly, watching Marcus at table 2, laughing at something Charlotte's father said. He looked happy. That's what mattered, I told myself. After dinner, Charlotte's father gave a speech about the importance of arts education. Then came the auction. Vacation packages, jewelry, art pieces. People bid thousands of dollars like it was Monopoly money. I excused myself to find the restroom. The hallway was quieter, lined with oil paintings of country club presidents from decades past. all white men with stern expressions. I was walking back when I heard crying from a side corridor. A young woman, maybe 25, sat on a bench, mascara running down her face. She wore a catering uniform. Black pants, white shirt, black bow tie. "Are you okay?" I asked. She looked up, startled. "I'm fine. I need a minute." I sat beside her. "Rough night?" She laughed bitterly. I spilled wine on Mrs. Whitmore's dress. Just a few drops, but she called me incompetent in front of everyone. The catering manager said, "If I mess up again, I'm fired." She wiped her eyes. "I need this job. I'm trying to save money for nursing school." My heart ached. I'd been her, once, working multiple jobs, invisible to people who thought my labor was beneath notice. "What's your name?" "Sophia." "I'm Helen." I opened my purse and pulled out the $37. "Here." "What?" "No, I can't." "Take it. Buy yourself something nice after this terrible night. And don't let people like that make you feel small. You're working hard for your dreams. That takes courage." She stared at the money, then at me. "Why are you being nice to me?" "Because someone was nice to me once, when I needed it." She took the money, hugged me quickly, and whispered, "Thank you." When I returned to the ballroom, I noticed people staring at me. Charlotte stood with a group of her friends, and their laughter stopped when I passed. Marcus found me. "Mom, can we talk outside?" We stood on the terrace overlooking manicured golf greens. The spring air was cool, smelling of fresh-cut grass and expensive perfume from the women smoking nearby. "Charlotte's upset," Marcus said. He couldn't meet my eyes. "About what?" "Her mother saw you, talking to one of the catering staff. In the hallway." I stared at him. "So?" "Mom." He ran his hand through his hair, frustrated. "This is their world. There are expectations. You can't just..." "Can't just what?" "Be kind to someone who's crying? You're making this difficult." "I'm making this difficult?" My voice rose. "Marcus, I raised you better than this." "That's exactly the problem." He immediately looked sorry he'd said it, but the words hung between us like poison gas. My heart cracked. "What does that mean?" He took a breath. "Charlotte's family. They think we come from different backgrounds. We do come from different backgrounds. They think you don't fit in here." The truth, finally spoken. I'd known it all along, but hearing my son say it out loud felt like being stabbed. "And what do you think?" I asked quietly. He didn't answer. That was answer enough. "Mom, maybe it would be better if you left early. There's going to be dancing, and more speeches, and..." "You want me to leave?" "I just think it might be more comfortable for everyone." I looked at my son, this man I'd sacrificed everything for, and saw a stranger. "Okay," I said. I walked back through the ballroom toward the exit, my vision blurred with tears. I refused to let fall. Not here, not in front of these people. Then, I heard Vivian Whitmore's voice, not quite quiet enough. "I told Charlotte this would be awkward. That woman is so obviously out of her element. Did you see that scarf? Goodwill, I'm sure." Her friends laughed. I kept walking, one foot in front of the other. Out the door, down the stone steps. The valet looked at me curiously. "Leaving already, ma'am? Can I call you a car?" "No, thank you. I'll walk to the main road and catch a taxi." The driveway was long, lined with lampposts that cast pools of yellow light. My feet hurt in the uncomfortable shoes I'd bought for this disaster of an evening. Behind me, music started playing. The dancing had begun. I was halfway down the driveway when I heard shouting. A crowd had gathered near the entrance. People were pointing at something. Someone screamed. I turned back and ran, my shoes clicking on the pavement. A woman lay on the ground at the bottom of the steps. She must have fallen. People stood around her, but no one was helping. They just stared. I pushed through. I'm a trained first responder. I'd taken the course years ago when the Postal Service required it. "Did anyone call 911? "Yes," someone said. "They're coming." The woman was conscious but dazed. Blood trickled from a cut on her forehead. Her leg was bent at a wrong angle. I recognized her. Catherine Morrison. The kind woman I'd talked to earlier. "Catherine, I'm Helen. Don't move. Help is coming." She gripped my hand. "My leg. I know. Try to stay still." I took off my Goodwill scarf and pressed it against the cut on her head. Someone bring me a jacket or something to cushion her head. No one moved. They just stood there, in their expensive clothes, holding their drinks. Now, I snapped. A young man finally took off his tuxedo jacket. I folded it and carefully slid it under Catherine's head. I held her hand, talking to her gently, keeping her calm until the ambulance arrived. The paramedics took over. One of them, a woman with kind eyes, said, "You did good. That scarf probably saved her from losing more blood." My $3 scarf was ruined, soaked with Catherine's blood. I stepped back as they loaded her onto the stretcher. My hands were shaking. My dress had blood on it. Charlotte appeared beside me, her face pale. "You need to leave. Now. You're causing a scene." I stared at her. A woman fell. She was hurt. "And the paramedics are handling it. But you, look at you. You're covered in blood. This is my family's event, and you're embarrassing you?" "Yes," she hissed it. "I'm sorry, but yes. Everyone is staring. My mother is mortified. Please, just go." Marcus stood behind her, saying nothing, not defending me, not standing up for me. I nodded slowly. "Okay, I'll go." I walked away for the second time that night. This time, no one stopped me. The taxi ride to the airport was expensive. I'd have to use my credit card, worry about it later. I sat in the back seat, blood drying on my dress, and cried quietly while the driver pretended not to notice. At the airport, I washed my hands and face in the bathroom, but the blood on my dress wouldn't come out. I looked like a victim in a crime show. My flight wasn't until morning. I found a quiet corner, sat on the floor, and tried not to think about Marcus's face, Charlotte's disgust, the way I'd been thrown away like trash. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Mom, I'm sorry, but you have to understand their position." I didn't respond. Another buzz. An unknown number. "Is this Helen Reed?" "This is Catherine Morrison's assistant. Catherine wanted me to find your contact information. She's asking for you." I called the number immediately. "Mrs. Morrison is at Massachusetts General," the assistant said. "She's stable, but she's quite insistent about speaking with you. She said you saved her life." I just did what anyone would do. "Well, she'd like to thank you in person if you're available tomorrow." I changed my flight. It cost $200 I didn't have, but something told me I needed to do this. The hospital room was private, expensive. Catherine lay in bed, her leg in a cast, stitches on her forehead. She smiled when she saw me. "Helen, thank God. I've been asking about you all morning. How are you feeling?" "Like I fell down marble stairs." She laughed weakly. "But alive, thanks to you. Everyone else just stood there like deer in headlights. I'm glad you're okay. Sit, please." She gestured to the chair beside her bed. "I need to know something. Are you Marcus Reed's mother?" I was surprised. "Yes. How did you—" "I make it my business to know people, especially people who show real character." She paused. "What happened after the ambulance took me away?" I hesitated. "I went home." "That's not what I heard." My assistant did some asking around. "She heard that you were asked to leave." "By Charlotte Whitmore." I said nothing. Catherine's expression hardened. "Let me tell you about the Whitmores. They're nouveau riche, Helen. Vivian's grandfather made his money in very questionable business dealings during Prohibition. They've spent 3 generations trying to buy respectability through charity events and country club memberships." She shifted in bed, wincing. "But they don't understand that true class isn't about money. It's about how you treat people when no one is watching." "I appreciate that. But do you know who I am, Helen?" "Catherine Morrison. Your grandson is on the foundation board." She smiled. "My husband was James Morrison, Morrison Technologies. When he died 10 years ago, I inherited controlling interest in the company. I also sit on the boards of 16 charitable foundations, including the Arts Foundation that was being honored last night." My heart started beating faster. "I'm also the primary donor to said Arts Foundation. Last night's gala, I pledged $2 million. She reached for her phone on the side table. "I've just sent an email to the foundation board. I'm withdrawing my pledge. Furthermore, I'm recommending they reconsider their partnership with the Newton Country Club, given the establishment's apparent tolerance for treating Good Samaritans like garbage." "Catherine, you don't have to." "Oh, but I do." Because if we don't stand up for decent people, who will? She looked at me seriously. You gave me your scarf. You held my hand. You kept me calm when I was terrified. And then you were humiliated for it. It was just a few people. It was your son's wife and her family. That matters. We sat in silence for a moment. I'd like to hire you, Catherine said suddenly. What? My personal assistant is retiring next month. The job pays $90,000 a year, plus benefits. It's mostly helping me manage my correspondence, organizing my calendar, accompanying me to events. I need someone I can trust. Someone with real values. She smiled. Someone who knows the value of a $3 scarf. I couldn't speak. Think about it, she said. In the meantime, I'm having a dinner party next Friday. Very small, very intimate. Just close friends and family. I'd like you to come. As my guest of honor. I don't know if the Whitmores will be there. Charlotte's father has been trying to get me to invest in his real estate venture for 6 months. He'll definitely attend. Her smile was sharp. I think it's time certain people learned an important lesson, don't you? The dinner party was at Catherine's home in Beacon Hill, an actual mansion, the kind you see in movies. I wore the same navy dress, dry cleaned again, with a new scarf. This one was Hermes, a gift from Catherine. A butler answered the door. A actual butler. The dining room seated 20. Crystal and silver and flowers that probably cost more than my monthly rent. And there, already seated, were Charlotte and Marcus, Vivian and Harold Whitmore, and a dozen other people from the gala. Charlotte's face went white when she saw me. Catherine, using a walker but steady, entered and gestured for me to sit beside her at the head of the table. Everyone, I'd like you to meet my dear friend Helen Reed. Some of you may remember her from last week's unfortunate incident. The room was silent. Helen saved my life, Catherine continued. While everyone else stood around, she took action. She's trained in first aid, calm in a crisis, and possessed of actual human compassion. Rare qualities in our circles, I'm finding. Vivian cleared her throat. Yes, well, we're all very grateful. I'm not finished. Catherine's voice cut like a knife. I'm also appalled at how she was treated after helping me. Told to leave, criticized for having blood on her dress. Blood she got from helping an injured woman. Charlotte stared at her plate. Marcus wouldn't look at me. So, I've made some decisions, Catherine said. First, I'm withdrawing my support from the Arts Foundation until they reconsider their partnership with Newton Country Club. Second, I'm not investing in your real estate project, Harold. I prefer to do business with people who have integrity. Harold Whitmore's face turned red. Catherine, you can't be serious. Over a simple misunderstanding, it wasn't a misunderstanding. It was cruelty. She looked at Marcus. Especially you. Your mother raised you alone, worked herself to the bone so you could have opportunities, and you let your wife's family treat her like trash. You should be ashamed. Marcus's eyes were shiny. I am, he whispered. Catherine softened slightly. Good. Because shame is the first step toward becoming better. The dinner that followed was awkward and beautiful. Catherine made sure everyone heard stories about my work, my life, raising Marcus. She praised my character loudly and repeatedly. After dessert, Marcus approached me. Mom, can we talk? We stepped into the hallway. I'm so sorry. He was crying now. I let them make me ashamed of you, of where we come from. I was a coward. Yes, you were. Can you forgive me? I looked at my son. Still young, still learning, still capable of growth. I'll forgive you when you prove you've learned from this. When you stand up for what's right, even when it's hard. He nodded. I will. I promise. Charlotte joined us. She looked terrified. Mrs. Reed, I owe you an apology. I was horrible to you. I let my mother's prejudices become mine. I'm so sorry. Why are you apologizing? I asked. Because Catherine called you out? Or because you genuinely regret it? She thought about it. Both, honestly. But, seeing how she respects you, how everyone here tonight has listened to your story, I realize I was wrong about what matters. It wasn't a perfect apology, but it was honest. Then I accept it, I said. But Charlotte, you need to understand something. I'm Marcus's mother. That's not going to change. If you want to be part of our family, you need to actually want me in it. I do, she said quietly. I really do. 3 months later, I moved to Boston. I took Catherine's job offer. The work was interesting, the pay was life-changing, and Catherine became a true friend. Marcus and Charlotte came to my new apartment for dinner every Sunday. Charlotte learned to cook from YouTube videos. She wasn't great at it, but she tried. That mattered. I kept the ruined scarf, the one soaked with Catherine's blood. I had it framed, a reminder that sometimes the cheapest things we own turn out to be the most valuable. And that kindness, real kindness, never goes out of style. Not even in Boston's elite circles, especially not there.